Hope you don't mind, folks. Sadie's going to join us for this one as she's chilling out. I had quite an eye opening event last week. You might even say a bit of an aha or eureka moment when I went out for my first hill walk with an overnight camp last week for about the first time in over 6 months. I really felt my age. I'm 3 months away from 47, which means I'm 3 years away from a half century. That means I've been a masters athlete for the past 7 years, and I also coach a good number of masters athletes. Now, we know that sometime after your 40th year, improving your performance becomes more difficult, perhaps even starts to diminish, and recovery starts to play a way more important role. Now, I thought that having read that and seen it in some of my clients, that I knew what that meant. Turns out I didn't really. Recovery for me is just getting harder and harder. And it's also taking me longer to adapt to unfamiliar training stresses. For example, hey baby, for example, I had to take a week off squatting. Even though I'd been building up progressively week after week, adding load, keeping the volume the same. So I was adapted to those squats. Just taking a week off deconditioned me completely. And so when I did my squats again this week, I had biblical muscular soreness for like 3 or 4 days where I could not train through it. And that tells me that my general preparedness and adaptability is actually quite diminished right now. Just doing my strength training and walking the dog is not enough. Yeah, you heard me. And throughout my career so far, I've heard it a lot. You'll have heard it as well, that you have to prioritize your recovery. You have to take it seriously. It's not the training that makes you stronger and fitter. It's your recovery from it. Now, we know that, but also when you're younger, you can get away with not prioritizing it. But now my recovery bucket, if you will, is certainly limited, and I need to manage my expectations about what I can draw from it and what rate I can refill that bucket. I can't just go and do something new, physically demanding, and expect not to pay some kind of consequence for that. So I've got to manage my expectations and plan ahead some more. Yeah, we've moved. So I had a good exchange with my own coach and some of my peers, and we were talking about the concept of going hard on recovery. You've probably gone hard on your training, paid some lip service to your recovery, and done okay. Now, treating your recovery with the same respect that you treat your training is probably a good idea. Well, perhaps consider sleep as a performance enhancing drug. The more older you get, the more adult you become, the more important it's going to be. So I can continue to push hard at my training as hard as I can because I still have goals that I want to achieve. But really now, rather than thinking about numbers on the bar, I'm going to be thinking about hours of sleep and other recovery modes that are going to help. One of the things I think I need to be doing is to improve my general physical preparedness, my GPP, and specifically focusing on getting my hill legs back. I think she's relaxed enough to clean herself now. Prioritizing sleep, but really cleaning up my sleep hygiene. I've done a poor job recently of getting myself to bed in good order, especially now that I have early morning starts pretty much every morning. Prioritizing protein, that's a good old one. I've always struggled to get enough protein, largely because things like supplementation. Thank you, baby. Things like supplementation with like protein, whey protein, just doesn't work with my colitis. I have to rely on whole foods, and eating enough with a bowel condition ain't all that easy. The more you eat, the more other consequences have to be paid. But also the fact that I'm older, my ability to absorb protein is diminished, so I need to back that up too. Drinking more water is definitely making me feel better and improving recovery, I think. But another big one is mobility. I placed a lot of import on doing my meat and potato work of squats, bench press, and deadlift, or for strength development, good diagnostic tools for mobility. But what I'm finding now is that is simply not enough to give me the mobility that I want and I need. So I'm doing additional work there too. But that was my big aha, is that I'm 47 years old now. Time continues just to thump past. And I think most of my glory days are behind me. But I can still train hard as long as I recover hard. So more on that to come.